Death by design, the foster care to Coffin pipeline. You didn't fail us, you funneled us. The child welfare system doesn't fail Indigenous children. It feeds off of us. It takes us from our homes that may be messy, chaotic, and reeling in the aftermath of intergenerational trauma, but it's a home full of people who created us and who love us only in the ways they know how. It severs us from our family, our culture, our land, and then it throws us into strangers' homes, group homes, or locked facilities where no one smells like home and no one holds us when we cry at night. Do you want to know what trauma is really like? Try being 8 years old, waiting for a mom who can't afford the gas to come and see you, despite trying to move heaven and earth to make the trip. Try asking your social worker when you're going home for a visit and being met with clipped words and empty eyes. Oh, your mom isn't able to make it this time. It's said so coldly and indifferent. We have to reschedule. And the disappointed silence you experience on the car ride back to the foster home is something that I can still never explain with words. Try hearing them call you so brave and resilient when what you really are is alone. Let me tell you something, and I don't care who disagrees. The biggest perpetrators of child abuse in this country is MCFD and BC. Being taken from your family, no matter how imperfect, and put into the care of people you don't know is one of the most soul-shattering, lonely experiences in the world. There's nothing that replaces the ache of being unloved and unwanted. Not new clean clothes, or new school supplies, or a clean bed, or a care plan. We're not broken because we come from abusive or struggling homes. We're broken because we were ripped from our loving families and abandoned in a system that doesn't know how to hold space for us. It doesn't care to either. They call it protection, but let me ask you, what kind of protection makes a child feel utterly alone and invisible? What kind of care others a child and teaches them that they do not fucking matter, that they're disposable, and that they're worthless? In BC, turning 19 in care doesn't mean independence. It means exile. It means 1 minute you have a roof over your head and a case file, and the next minute you're gone. You're just another number in a dead system that stopped pretending to have your best interest at heart the moment the funding stopped. And then what? You're out there with your trauma, your addictions, your stolen childhood, trying to survive in a world that never made space for you. You're couch surfing, you're using to cope, you're selling your body, you're hiding in plain sight, and no one is even looking for you. Because when you're a former foster kid, no one calls if you don't come home. No one files a missing persons report. No one says your name at the dinner table and wonders if you're okay. What about when you die? They call it tragic. They say it's inevitable. They say you slipped through the cracks, but we didn't slip. We were shoved. This episode is not a gentle call for reform. This is not a checklist of policy recommendations. This is a grief-soaked reckoning with a system that was never built to love or care for us, only to funnel us into a system that doesn't give a shit just to manage and exploit us for profit. Because let's be real, when you pull a child from everything they know and love, isolate them, and abandon them, what do you think the result is going to be? Don't act surprised when they don't make it, because that's not care, it's cruelty. Stop telling foster kids that we are resilient. We're the survivors of state violence. We're living the proof that what Canada calls child welfare is just colonial dispossession with a different name. And I'm here to speak the truth. For every foster kid who didn't survive, for every birthday spent alone, for every child waiting by the window hoping someone will come back for them. The historical and colonial roots of child welfare and MCFD's role. The Ministry of Children and Family Development isn't just another government department. It's the latest face of colonial violence, wielding child protection and removal as its weapon. What we call the Millennial scoop, the thousands of Indigenous children ripped from their families in recent decades, is no accident or failure. It's a deliberate continuation of the same genocide that built residential schools in the 60s scoop. Same goal, different name. Break Indigenous families apart, cut our culture at the roots, crush resistance, and silence voices by stealing the next generation. Because when there's no more Indians, there's no more land question, right? The real agenda of child protection in Canada: erase the children, erase the claim. Unstated land, unbroken spirit. Most of BC was never signed away. Indigenous nations still hold title by law and by right. Settler governments cling to terra nullius myths to strip away those rights. Foster care as a clearinghouse. Each Indigenous child removed severs a thread of culture, language, and law. No family ties means no knowledge passed down. No culture means no challenge to colonial authority. Manufactured consent. With fewer voices rooted in their nation, settlers can claim that there's nobody left to contest the pipelines, mines, or housing developments. The land becomes empty, free for extraction and profit. Genocidal logic in plain sight. This isn't accidental neglect. It is a system built to dismantle communities. The 60 Scoop and today's MCFD policies both target Indigenous families not to protect children, but to break nations apart. Why does this matter? The land question isn't going to go away as long as Indigenous peoples survive and resist. Removing children is the fastest route to silence those claims. They knew to get rid of the Indigenous people was to tear apart their family system. When you treat Indigenous kids as problems to solve, you weaponize the welfare system to steal land. Ending this requires more than reform. It demands Indigenous-like care that heals families, restores culture, and protects both children and the land they belong to. Make no mistake. The Ministry of Children and Family Development is not a passive player. They are the architects and enforcers of a pipeline that starts with apprehension and ends in overdose, jail, or death. Look at the numbers. Indigenous kids make up more than 68% of children in care in British Columbia, while we are less than 10% of all children in the province. This is not a disparity. This is federally sponsored racial targeting. It's not because our families are broken or unfit. It's because the system pathologizes Indigenous life at every single turn. What does abuse look like inside the system? It looks like tearing a child from their family without doing anything to help that family heal. It looks like shuffling kids through home after home with no stability. It looks like erasing their culture, language, and identity. It looks like ignoring abuse inside foster care and punishing those who speak out. This isn't protection, it's trauma. Replicated generation after generation. MCFD is the single biggest perpetrator of child abuse in BC. Now let's talk money. Foster parents get between $1,000 and $3,000 per month per child. They're based on levels, level 1, 2, and 3, 3 being the highest level. But birth parents, often struggling in poverty caused by colonial theft and residential school trauma, get almost nothing. No housing support, no culturally safe mental health care, no trauma-informed help before their kids are taken. Instead of investing in families, the province profits by tearing them apart. The foster parents need to get paid. The social workers need to get paid. The admin staff need to get paid. This is not child protection. This is a business corporation. The system is designed to funnel kids into care because foster care is funded, but family preservation is not. That's not an accident. It's a financial incentive to apprehend. And who is left out of designing these systems? The people who know best. Indigenous families, grandmothers, aunties, elders, those who carry real knowledge about raising children with love and community. Those who have survived residential school genocide, not given any supports to heal, and then told they are unfit to parent. MCFD talks about reconciliation, but their policies erase Indigenous sovereignty every step of the way. They override traditional governance. They ignore community voices. They steal the right of nations to raise their own children. This isn't just a bad policy. This is cultural dispossession, wrapped in false promises of the child's best interest. The result? Children growing up lost, disconnected, and feeling utterly alone and broken, aging out into homelessness, addiction, and incarceration, dying far too young. MCFD doesn't just allow abuse, they manufacture it, and then walk away at 19 with their hands clean while our communities bury another stolen life. This is colonialism. This is capitalism. This is Canada, aging out the deadly transition. A cold, bureaucratic phrase for what really happens when a foster kid turns 19. I think it's 25 now, though. But let's call this what it is. This is abandonment, a free fall into nowhere, an execution date stamped in policy. On your 19th birthday or 25th, the Ministry of Children and Family Development washes its hands clean. No handhold, no safety net, no promise of home or healing, no transition plan that actually means something, no housing, no cultural connection, no trauma counseling, no stable income, not even a cheap cake, just a garbage bag of your belongings. And a final cold message, you're on your own now. I was told to go sign up for welfare, but parenting in real life doesn't actually stop at 19. For most people, it never does. Middle class kids, white kids, they have couches to crash on, family members to call, money saved for emergencies. They can stumble, fall, and fail, and someone catches them. But if you grew up in foster care, you don't get to fail. You don't get to stumble. MCFD has this autonomous power within the child protection and judicial system to act and remove children from their family homes in the best interest of the child. So where does that sacred promise go when the clock hits midnight on your 19th birthday? Where does that responsibility disappear to? I'll tell you where. To the streets, to the shelters, to psychiatric wards, to jails, to graveyards. This isn't a joke. It's a well-documented fact. Half of youth who age out experience homelessness within 6 months. Former youth in care are twice as likely to be incarcerated before 25. And they are nearly 200 times more likely to die from drug poisoning than their peers. And for Indigenous youth, the numbers are even worse. They make up the majority of kids aging out in BC. They face sky-high rates of suicide, overdose, sexual exploitation, and chronic homelessness. This is not just negligence. This is violence. I speak from lived experience. I know what that transition feels like. It's like waking up every day knowing no one is there for you. It's like walking into adult systems carrying a lifetime of childhood trauma. It's searching for safety and finding only the scream of silence. It's walking into a welfare office, still a teenager, signing up for the moment you age out. It's sleeping in stairwells. It's using drugs, not to rebel, but to numb the unbearable pain of being disposable. It's screaming for help in a system that wrote you off a long time ago. Youth in care are expected to be resilient without a single tool to build with. We're handed trauma like a burden and told to build futures from broken pieces. But trauma doesn't care. Trauma hunts you down just for the kill. And the ministry, they step back at 19 and call it policy. If they truly cared, they wouldn't throw us to the wolves. They would walk with us until we are safe, stable, and rooted in community. They'd invest in permanency, not temporary placement, but they don't. Because the goal was never permanency. The goal was profit, extracting pain, exploiting suffering. And until we face that truth, until we rip apart that design, this pipeline will keep flowing from foster care to homelessness, to overdose, to the grave. Follow the money, the pipeline built on our broken hearts. How does this pipeline keep flowing? How do thousands of Indigenous children leave care only to crash into addiction, homelessness, criminalization, and death? Not by accident, but because it's made that way. Follow the money. Follow the cold policies. Follow the cruel underfunding of what could save our lives. This is the ugly, painful truth no one dares to say. There is profit in our pain. Our suffering is a commodity. Our childhoods are stolen by a business corporation. In 2023-24, the Ministry of Children and Family Development holds over $2.15 billion of public money that's supposed to protect children, families together, and heal wounds. But look at where that money goes. Over $1.08 billion is spent on child safety, family support, and children in care. Money that's funneled into foster homes, social workers' paychecks, agency contracts, administrators, respite workers, all profiting from ripping our families apart. What other industry in Canada makes that much? They spent nearly $9.4 million more than planned, pouring endless funds into keeping us in care, not keeping us at home. Foster parents can get up to $4,000 per child every month for specialized care. Meanwhile, our mothers, our families, trying desperately to hold us close, they get crumbs, a bus pass, maybe a food card, nothing consistent, nothing reliable, not enough support to heal or keep us whole. Family preservation programs, starved, buried under endless red tape if they even exist. Indigenous-like programs for youth aging out, almost invisible. This isn't an accident. This is designed because it values money over motherhood, over belonging. The system pays more to rip children from community than to keep them safe inside it. It's a machine that consumes our bodies and hearts, feeding off our pain just for the profit. A 2021 report by the First Nations Caring Society says it plain and simple. Child welfare funding rewards removal, not support. We pay more to steal children than to keep them safe in their homes. And when we turn 19, when the ministry hands you a garbage bag full of your belongings and says you're on your own, we are silenced, sidelined, or swallowed by the system. The seats at the table filled with bureaucrats and private agencies whose careers depend on this cruel machine. This is violence disguised as care. Youth in care are the most policed, most watched, most drug tested without cause, and most criminalized for trauma. We learn early. We aren't meant to be helped. We are meant to be monitored. We're meant to be judged. We're meant to be discarded. When we fall, the same system locks us up, jails us, and throws away the key. Our culture, our ceremonies, our languages, erased. Making dream catchers and friendship centers run by white people is not keeping me connected to my culture. We are forced to forget who we are and punished if we remember. Why do so many die young after care? Just children taken and forgotten. The 2023-24 MCFD financial report shows it all. The money flows to profit from our pain, not healing it. To removing us, not restoring us. Read it for yourself. The BC Ministry of Children and Family Development 2023-24 Annual Service Plan Report. We have been erased too many times, but this time we will not disappear. We will not be silenced. We will fight to build systems rooted in love, culture, and true healing. Because we deserve more than a garbage bag full of our belongings. We deserve life. We deserve family. We deserve a place to call home. Story of survival, resistance, and resilience. Let me tell you what it really means to survive this pipeline. I was taken, not rescued, not protected, taken. I didn't slip through the cracks. I was shoved through them hard. The system didn't miss me. It aimed straight for me. They called me in need of protection. But what I needed was my culture, my mother, my aunties, my songs, my connection to the land. Instead, I got file numbers, group home placement. Strangers paid to pretend that they actually gave a fuck. Big, empty, clean rooms. They called it care. But all I remember are white walls, locked doors, and rules that turned my childhood into a prison. 11 different placements in 10 years. How is that in any child's best interest? My first placement was Jack Ledger House. When foster homes ran out, they dumped me in group homes. The group homes didn't keep me safe. They taught me to expect abandonment. Different workers every week. No one stayed. No one listened. You get good at packing fast, good at being invisible, good at surviving with nothing. My first week I was at Seaview. I ran away into the dark, lonely stretch of Lost Lake Road. I was terrified, but I wanted to go home. Even if that meant being alone in the middle of the night, the group home would call and report me AWOL. At 13, I was held in city cells for 8 hours until someone from my group home was able to pick me up. It was cold. They fed me a plain, cold Eggo waffle, no syrup or butter. I felt like a criminal, and I was only 13 years old. Let's skip the little bit ahead, shall we? To when I aged out at 19 in 2003. The silence was deafening. No wraparound plan, no home, no one checking in, just me. Me and the wreckage they left behind. Somehow, I'm still here, not because of MCFD, in spite of them. What saved me? A friend who held me down when I had nothing and no one left in this world. A friend who showed me what family actually meant. Here's the truth. Community and cultural reclamation is not soft. It is radical. It is a fierce act of survival and a system that wants us erased. They want us to disappear, but I'm still here. And I carry the names of everyone who didn't make it. They were loved. They had dreams. They didn't fail. They were failed. So don't you dare call this a tragedy. Call it what it is, a policy choice, a war on Indigenous love and survival made invisible. I'm done asking for space. I'm claiming it. Because every time I speak this truth, every time I turn my pain into purpose, I built something that they can't bulldoze. I am proof that reclaiming community and culture is not just healing, it is justice. It is legacy. It is resistance with a heartbeat. And I'm not alone. There is a whole generation rising from the wreckage, armed with truth and done being silent. Plans for structural change, dismantling the pipeline. The system is broken and lied is not broken. It is working exactly as they designed it to remove, punish, and discard us. But we're not here to beg for scraps from the table that starved us. We're here to flip the damn table. So here's what must happen if we're serious about saving lives. Defund BC MCFD. MCFD cannot be reformed and its power must be removed. We demand full Indigenous jurisdiction over child welfare, not advisory roles, not side tables, jurisdiction, because only our nations know what it takes to raise our children in safety and culture and in love. The human cost and call to action. Let's come back to where we started. You didn't fail us. You funneled us. This isn't some tragic oversight. It was a pipeline built by design with court orders as blueprints and thousands of children like me as collateral damage. MCFD didn't protect us. It profited from us and still does. And when we age out, the funding dries up, so they walk away. No transition, no safety net, no family. Just a free fall into overdose, incarceration, homelessness, and death. And that pipeline, it's still wide open. Right now, in foster homes across this province, another generation is being prepped for the same fate. This is not accidental. This is structural violence camouflaged as care. Every time the state funds foster parents but denies basic supports to birth families, they choose profit over preservation. Every time a judge signs off on an apprehension but won't listen to the community, they choose erasure over relationship. Every time a youth ages out of care and dies within the first 6 months, this is more than just a tragedy. It is a death sentence written into policy, and it's deliberate. But here's the truth they won't tell you. This nightmare can end, not with promises, but with power shifts. And it starts by listening to those who lived through it and still live through it. We need systems built on survival, sovereignty, and healing. Systems led by Indigenous nations themselves, not colonial ministries. This story isn't over because I'm still here. We are still here. This is a refusal to disappear, a refusal to die silently. We are survivors. We are leaders. And to the system that tried to bury us, we have diamonds forged in the rough. You can't kill what's already been to hell and back.